Jake Carter lived alone in the Colorado mountains. He worked with machines and helped maintain a small space communication station. He liked the quiet. There were no loud cities or busy streets, just trees, snow, and stars. One night, something strange happened. While checking the signal tower, Jake saw a flash of blue light in the sky. It was not lightning. It moved too fast and landed deep in the forest. Jake grabbed his jacket and flashlight. He walked toward the place where the light came from. After walking for almost an hour, he found something shocking. A spaceship stood between the trees. It was silver and smooth, with glowing lines running along its body. The ship looked damaged. Smoke rose from its side. Jake took a careful step forward. A door on the side of the ship opened with a soft sound. A tall figure walked out. It was not human. The being had pale skin and silver eyes. She wore a long robe with strange symbols. Her hair was white and fell past her shoulders. She looked scared but calm. Jake did not run. He stood still and said, "Hello." The alien woman looked at him. She tilted her head and spoke in a soft voice, but he could not understand the words. He raised his hands slowly to show he meant no harm. She watched him, then pointed to the sky and then to her ship. Jake understood she had crashed. He nodded. "You need help. Come with me. I live nearby." The alien looked around, then followed him. Her steps were light. She moved like someone trained to be careful. Jake led her to his cabin. It was small but warm. Inside, he gave her a chair, a blanket, and some water. She sat quietly and watched everything with wide eyes. Over the next few days, Jake tried to talk to her. She learned fast. Found a translator device from the old space station box and fixed it. With the device, they could speak a little. Her name was Leora. She said she was a princess from a planet far away. Her ship had been damaged by space debris. She was alone and needed to repair it, but she was afraid of being found by others. She said not all humans would welcome her. Jake nodded. "You can stay here until it's safe." They began to understand each other more. Jake showed her how things worked on Earth. He cooked for her. She helped clean and studied the human world. Every night, they sat outside and looked at the stars. Leora would tell him stories about her home world. She spoke of crystal skies and floating cities. One night, as they sat near the fire, Jake smiled at her and said, "Hey, sweetie." Leora looked at him, confused. "Weedy." Jake laughed a little. It's a kind word. It's like calling someone dear. Leora looked away and her cheeks turned light pink. She smiled and said softly, "Yes, honey." Jake was surprised. She had copied his words, but there was something sweet in her voice. He looked at her and smiled. In that quiet moment, something changed between them. She was not just a visitor from another world anymore. She was someone he cared about. Far above them, stars moved slowly. But on Earth, in a small cabin in the mountains, two lives had started to connect. One from Earth, the other from the stars. Neither of them knew what was coming next. But for now, they had peace. And for Jake Carter, that was enough.
Leora stayed in Jake's cabin for many days. Each day, she learned something new. She liked to sit near the window and watch the trees move in the wind. She asked questions about everything. Jake showed her how to use a spoon, how to make tea, and how to play music on the old radio. Jake also learned from her. She taught him about her planet. Elvaris, she drew pictures of her home, of towers made of light and gardeners that floated in the air. She told him that her people lived in peace for many years. But then a war started, and a ship was sent far from home. She was supposed to make contact with other worlds, but her ship was hit by space rocks and lost control. Jake helped her fix the ship slowly. They walked to the crash site every morning. He brought tools, and she used small machines he had never seen before. Together, they cleaned the broken parts and repaired wires. It was hard work, but they laughed sometimes. Leora smiled more now. She liked Earth's sky. She said it was softer than the sky on her planet. One morning, Jake noticed something strange. A small flying machine. like a drone, passed over the trees. It had no sound, but it blinked with red lights. He had seen drones before, but not like this one. He looked at Leora. "We need to be careful!" That wasn't normal. Leora nodded. Her face became serious. She said there were people on Earth who watched the skies for ships like hers. If they found her, they might take her away. That night, they packed some food and moved to a safer place. Jake knew a hidden cabin deeper in the woods. It was old and not often used. They took what they needed and walked there under the moonlight. The new cabin was smaller, but it was safe. Jake set up a new fire! Leora looked around and said, "It is quiet here. Good quiet." Jake smiled. "Yeah! It's our place now." As days passed, they worked hard to finish the ship. Jake began to understand some of her language. She called him a word that meant strong friend. Elikt. He gave her a necklace with a small stone he had found as a child. It was nothing special, but she held it like it was treasure. They spent their evenings by the fire. One night, she told him the truth. She was not just a trick. She had been running. On her planet, she was being forced to marry someone she did not love. Her family thought it would bring peace, but she wanted freedom. She took the mission as a way to escape. Jake listened. He didn't know what to say, but he looked at her and said, "I think you were brave to come here." She looked at him with soft eyes. "I did not plan to stay, but now I don't know. Earth is different." Jake didn't push her. He just sat close. The wind outside moved through the trees, and the fire crackled. There was something in the silence that felt strong. The next morning, Jake found tracks near the cabin. Not animal tracks. Boots. Someone had been there. He told Leora to stay inside. He walked the area but found nothing. Still, he knew they were being watched. They moved fast that day. They covered the ship with leaves and branches. Jake set traps and alarms around the area. He'd not want to fight, but he had to protect her. That night, Leora sat close to him. She looked at the fire and said, "Do you think they will come soon?" Jake nodded. "Yes! We need to be ready!" She held a small stone necklace and closed her eyes. "I don't want to go without saying goodbye." Jake looked at her. "Then we won't let that happen! We'll face it together in the deep woods, under the stars." The bond between them grew stronger. It was not just a meeting of two lives. It was the start of something neither of them had expected. And both of them knew the quiet days were almost over.
The next morning came with a strange silence. Jake woke early and checked the traps he had set around the hidden cabin. One had been triggered. The wire was snapped, and footprints led away into the trees. Someone had come close in the night. Jake told Leora what he saw. She stayed calm but alert. She checked a small screen on her wrist. It showed signals nearby. She said one of them was not natural. It was a scout drone. They decided to stay low. They only left the cabin to fix the ship. Each time, they watched the trees and sky. Jake carried a small rifle just in case. Leora carried a small device that gave off a pulse. Could stop machines for a few minutes if needed. One afternoon, while they were working on the ship, they heard voices. Men were moving through the forest. Jake pulled Leora behind the trees. The men wore dark suits and helmets. They had weapons and scanners. Jake whispered, "They are not from the army. They are private." Leora nodded. Hunter's not good. They waited until the men passed, and they packed their tools and returned to the cabin. That night, they made a plan. The ship was almost ready, but they needed more time. Jake decided to build a decoy. He placed metal parts in a clearing far from the real crash site. He covered it with a tarp and left signs around it. Leora helped by placing false energy signals near the spot. The next day, the hunters went straight to the decoy. Jake and Leora watched from a hill. One of the men scanned the metal, called to the others. They thought it was real. Jake smiled. That will give us 2 days. Back at the cabin, they worked fast. Leora connected the final wires. Jake helped lift the power unit into place. It was heavy, but together they managed. That night, they tested the ship's systems. Lights came on. The engine made a low hum. Leora looked at Jake. "One more day, then I go?" Jake nodded, but his chest felt heavy. He had known from the start that she could not stay. But now it felt real. The next morning, Jake went to check the outer traps. He saw smoke in the distance. The hunters had found the decoy was fake. They were coming back. Jake ran to the cabin. "We don't have time. They are close." Leora looked at the ship. "It can fly. But not far." Jake pointed toward the cliffs. "You can take off from there. It's high and open. I will help clear the way." They packed quickly. Leora gave Jake a small box. Its inside was a round crystal. It glowed faint blue. "This is a bond stone. It is given once. Keep it." Jake closed the box and placed it in his jacket. "Thank you." They moved through the forest toward the cliffs. They stayed low and quiet. The sound of engines followed them. The hunters had flying machines. At the edge of the cliff, the ship powered up. Jake used his traps and smoke bombs to block the path behind them. He stayed until Leora said the ship was ready. Leora stood in the doorway of the ship. She looked at him. "You were kind. I will not forget." Jake smiled. "Hey, sweetie." Leora blushed and replied, "Yes, honey." Then the ship lifted off the ground. It rose into the sky and turned into a silver light. The trees below shook with the force. Then it was gone. Jake stood alone on the cliff. Smoke still rose in the distance. But the danger was over. He looked at the sky, then at the box in his hand. The quiet forest, the bond between two worlds had been made. Jake knew he might never see her again. But he also knew the story was not over yet. After Leora's ship disappeared into the sky, Jake stayed on the cliff for a long time. The forest was quiet again, but his mind was full. He walked back to the cabin and cleaned up the tools. He erased the signs that anyone had been there. But something had changed inside him. He no longer felt alone. Days passed. Jake kept working at the space station. He sent signals into space, hoping maybe she would hear one of them. He also kept the bond stone she gave him. It glowed faintly each time he touched it. He didn't know what it meant, but he believed it was a sign she was alive. One night, Jake saw a strange pattern in the stars. It blinked in a way he had never seen. Check the station. The signal was real. It was not from Earth. It repeated in a soft rhythm. Jake wrote it down and compared it to Leora's notes. It was her language. The message was short but clear. "I remember. I am safe. I return soon." Jake smiled, placed the bond stone near the radio. It glowed brighter. He waited every night, hoping for another message. Weeks passed. Then one night, the radio came alive again. A new message came through. It was longer. "Danger follows. Do not stay. Hide the station. Watch the sky." Jake froze, read the message again. He didn't waste time. Packed supplies, turned off the main systems, and hid the station under old tarps and branches. He moved to another cabin farther into the forest. There he waited. 3 days later, a black ship entered the sky. It was not like Leora's ship. It was sharp, loud, and had red lights all over it. Jake watched through binoculars. The ship circled above the area, scanning the ground. He saw figures drop down with heavy gear. These were not peaceful visitors. Jake knew they were looking for Leora, or maybe for him. He stayed hidden and kept the bond stone close. One night, while checking the area, Jake found a new sign. It was carved into a tree. The mark was the same as the one on Leora's necklace. She had returned. That night, a small ship landed in the valley. Jake moved through the trees and waited. The ship door opened and Leora stepped out. She wore new armor, shining with blue light. Her eyes searched the forest until they found him. Jake stepped into the open. "You came back." Leora smiled. "I said I would. But we have no time. They are coming." She handed him a small device. "Put this near your station. It will block their scan." Jake took it and nodded. They moved quickly. He placed the device near the station. It released a blue wave that covered the area. Leora said it would last for one day. They spent the night in the hidden cabin. Leora told him about the group chasing her. They were not from her world, but worked for others who wanted her power. They wanted to use her to control peace talks across planets. She escaped again to warn Earth. Jake listened carefully. "What can I do?" Leora looked at him. "Help me send a message. A warning." They worked together to fix the station's deep signal line. Leora gave him a new code. It would reach friendly ships across nearby space. When the message was sent, Leora looked at the sky. "We have hours before they return. I will stay until then." Jake didn't speak. He just stood beside her. They walked through the forest. They didn't need to say much. Their silence said enough. Before the sun came up, Leora gave him a metal band. It held a small crystal in the center. "This is a key. It will open my signal path if you ever need help." Jake placed it around his wrist. "And if I use it," she looked at him, "I will come, no matter where you are." As the first light of morning touched the trees, they heard the sound of ships again. It was time to go. Leora stepped into her ship. Before the door closed, Jake said, "Hey, sweetie." Leora looked back, her eyes steady. "Yes, honey." And then she was gone once more, leaving behind hope and the promise of return. Weeks passed after Leora's second departure. Jake returned to his quiet life in the mountains, but it was no longer the same. Every sound in the trees made him turn. Every light in the sky made him wonder. He kept the bond stone and the crystal key close, always ready for the moment he might need them. He sent small signals through the hidden station, short and simple, just in case she was listening. There were no answers, but he never gave up. Then one night, the sky lit up again. This time, it was not a single ship. 3 dark ships flew low across the trees. They were loud and fast. Jake knew right away they were not friendly. He packed food, tools, and the signal device Leora had given him. He moved to the cave near the river, a place he had prepared for danger. He watched from a distance. Ships searched the area for days. He saw men in black suits moving through the forest. They used scanners and strange machines. Jake stayed hidden. He waited. One evening, a soft blue light blinked on the bond stone. It was the first time in many days. He pressed it, and a voice came through. It was Leora. "They are here for the key. Do not let them find it." "I am coming," Jake smiled. He answered with one word, "Ready?" He knew they would search the cabin and the station. So he returned and placed false signs again. He set traps and left behind old gear to make it look like he had left in a hurry. Then he returned to the cave and waited. That night, he saw a silver shape fly low above the trees. It was Leora's ship. It landed near the mountain lake. Jake ran through the forest and reached it just as she stepped out. "You came fast," he said. "You called," she answered. Leora had brought help. 2 guards from her world stood beside her. They wore light armor and carried devices that glowed softly. She explained that the ones chasing them had followed her signal to Earth. They wanted to take control of her power and use it to force peace on their terms. She had told her people, and now they were ready to fight back. "But Earth is not ready for war," Jake said. "That's why we stop it here," Leora replied. Together, they planned a way to lead the enemy into a trap. Jake helped set the stage. They used the signal station to send a fake message. Said the key would be moved through the mountain pass. They waited there with Leora's guards. The enemy came. 2 black ships landed near the pass. Men with scanners moved in. But they walked straight into the trap. A burst of light from Leora's guards shut down their gear. Jake used the device to block their backup signal. In minutes, it was over. Leora stood before the leader of the group. "You will leave Earth. You will not return." The leader said nothing. His scanner was broken. His weapons were useless. He nodded slowly. They left the way they came. Quiet, defeated. Leora turned to Jake. "It is done." Jake nodded. "What happens now?" "I go home." I face my council, but this time with proof. I have allies. I've made bonds. Jake looked at the sky. Will you come back? Leora stepped closer. She touched the crystal key on his wrist. You know how to call me? They stood in silence for a moment. No more danger. No more hiding. It's two people from different worlds standing together. Jake smiled. Hey, sweetie. Leora smiled back. Yes, honey. Then she returned to her ship. As it rose into the sky, Jake felt proud. He had helped more than he ever thought possible. He had protected his world. And he had made a friend, maybe more, from across the stars. Back in his cabin, the forest was quiet again. But this time, he knew he was not alone. Somewhere out there, she remembered him. And one day she would return.